Indeed, William Silver. Hello and welcome to Momentous Live, episode The Life, the Universe, and Everything. That's right, episode number 42.
We've
We
got
made
answers.
it, guys. We made it. So momentous. Just in time for the end of the world.
This isn't the end. This is the beginning for the next species that takes over.
The beginning of the end.
The next artificial species.
I'm just glad that people from my planet will actually have an empty place to move into.
Darn it, we should have added some Elon stories this week because he can save us all.
Man.
So, yeah. Hi. As we've learned today here in BC, and around the world, everything is awesome. Just in time for Christmas. So
Hang in there, fam.
I just realized I'm second week in a row wearing this ultra warm hoodie that I got when I was in England several years ago when travel was a thing. For those of us not in Arizona, and so that means it's cold. Yeah, it's pretty chilly here.
One degree? Are we below freezing? 1 degree. 1 degree.
Next,
Cold here too.
Early next week, we're supposed to get to lows of minus 13 Celsius.
So I sold my parents on the idea that they'd come out to Vancouver, West Coast, beautiful, it'd be nice, don't worry about it, 5 degrees, coldest it's going to get, minus 13. Thank you so much, universe. I'm trying to get the move out here for like 10 years. This is not helping.
Odd timing.
Yeah.
Well, if only the $350 Sony LSPX S3 glass sound speaker had an incandescent light bulb instead of a LED light bulb, they could gather around and warm themselves around this wonderful, decorative, yet functional Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah. It's
Doesn't
like the little match girl, but the little speaker
for
girl.
recreational drug use. Sorry, what's that, Greg?
Right.
It's like the little match girl, but little speaker girl, just like hovering over this in the alleys of Vancouver.
So this ties into a little theme that we've touched on a few times over the last several months about tech that doesn't look like tech.
Yes.
Gadgets that we can fit into our home, smart gadgets that don't necessarily look so techy to appeal to folks that aren't tech geeks. We had some stuff from IKEA with partnering with Sonos, other types of bookshelf speakers that really blend in, and this is one from Sony, which is a mood-setting novelty speaker that doesn't slouch on sound.
Sure.
Got a little 7 out of 10 on The Verge, but Tasia, what do you think of this? I mean, we look to you as someone who has taste, and you are techie, but don't necessarily wear it on your sleeve like beep borp. Hi, I'm a human robot.
Yeah.
What do you think about this particular thing and the trend in general?
Well, I thought you were going to say this was part of like our new category on Momentous of like who designed this and why.
Whatever you do, don't sit on it.
Right. It's I don't want a bong next to my bed at night. No offense to those of you that do. That's great and wonderful for you. But for me, especially if it doesn't even function like one. What do I want that by the bed?
This is only half a bong, though. There's nothing there. You've got to have something to like put the material which you are then smoking into.
I like the idea of it, but the execution I think is lacking. I'm not getting like calming vibes from it. I'm not getting something that's like decorative and like I want in my home. You know what I mean?
It almost looks like a Coleman lantern on a diet.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
And I like Coleman lanterns. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but not like a cozy lantern. That's not the vibe I'm getting. So I think they missed it on this one.
I was going to throw out 2 more references to what it looks like. It looks like parts off of a dentist's X-ray machine or the back of a DeLorean.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great YouTube channel, and the fellow's got a Twitter as well, which is Tech Connectify, Technology Connections. And he's somewhere, I believe, in the American Midwest, but he did an entire series on those Coleman hurricane lamps. And I watched, it was a long video, but I've actually, it's a couple of videos, and I've watched all of them at this point, and they're great, which is kind of why I like this thing. Like it does, I don't know, light and sound and
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Like maybe there is a bond component. I would presume it's a Sony proprietary adapter, and you'd have to probably buy your weed from them as well. But this is pretty. Don't we like pretty things? This is pretty. Is it not
I
pretty?
think there's a whole movement too with, especially with. I mean, I'm a little biased being in Vancouver with having multifunctional things. So like a table that also has storage in it, a light that's also a speaker.
That's
So
a function
things-
of 400 square foot
Yes.
studio
Yes,
apartments becoming
exactly.
the norm nowadays.
$1,000 a square foot will do that to you. That you have to have Murphy beds like it's the 1920s.
Do not mock my Murphy bed.
Don't mock the Depression either.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we did turn a what was, I guess, a small closet into a bedroom. It's a wall-to-wall mattress thing that is on hydraulics. That stuff goes
It's a
underneath.
bedroom.
Yeah, it's a bedroom. Like it's you know. And then the artist studio downstairs has a Murphy bed that actually has a love seat built into it. Why would you not want to get more out of your space? Just saying.
Indeed.
I'm
No,
not
it's a great
knocking it,
idea.
but it is very Vancouver.
So Sony's like, YVR, this one's for you, baby.
Yeah.
So apparently it includes the higher quality LDAC codec among the speaker's features, allowing you to play music at higher bit rates from services like Amazon Music, Apple Music, Tidal, Qobuz, Qobuz, whatever that is. So lossless audio. That's nice. And that glass tube apparently isn't purely for aesthetics. According to Sony, 3 actuators in the speaker are attached to the end of the glass and vibrate the entire glass tweeter when audio is playing to spread sound in every direction. So kind of going along the lines of fancy versions of the Amazon Echo or the HomePods or what have you. Apparently,
Or
if you're
like when you put your phone like in a mug and it does the same thing.
Indeed. Well,
And that's your cheap tech tip for
MacGyver
the
over
day.
here.
I feel a Taser
Hashtag
Custody
Boba.
video coming up.
Thank you.
So apparently, the if you hold it in your hands, it can really sometimes seem like the sound is originating from the tube rather than the base beneath it, where the sound is actually coming from. You can adjust the brightness of the LED, but not the color temperature. So sorry, RGB PC modders. No colors for you.
Can't get
32 levels of brightness, though. And you can make it in flicker like a candle.
Is it HomeKit compatible?
Doesn't say. It seems
No
to
sale.
have better integration with the Androids, apparently. Anyway, again, I think it's one of these things where it's nice to see some experimentation going on and see what sticks, and maybe we'll see more of a trend like that. We finally got our second full-size HomePod going recently, and that's been fun. Now that they're not around anymore, we've got a HomePod Mini downstairs too. But the 2 full-size HomePods, one in our kitchen, one in the living room, they're in when you play stuff, they're in perfect sync. It's amazing, and it's nice being able to talk to Siri for all her imperfections. And have her hear you wherever you are.
Have you tried the intercom feature at all?
Not yet. We've been talking about it for months. We just haven't gotten around to it because Stephanie and I also have intercom on our watches. So,
and I never use it, and I just feel like I should. I feel like it needs to be more accessible. I will say that the walkie-talkie feature, I find
that's what I mean. Yeah,
has never worked for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I added people, and they just kind of sit there, and I click on the button, and it says contacting person. After this, let's walkie-talkie each other.
Maybe, yeah. But you've added people and they're not responding. Maybe there's a hint there.
Oh, dick move.
Oh,
ooh.
I would respond to you. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Here, we'll do it live.
oh my god! Oh my god! No net.
Let's see. There you go. Add friends.
This is going to be so
Add
good.
friends. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Let's play along the home game.
Okay, there we go. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right.
I'm just going to time how long this takes.
I invited my partner. She's downstairs and no response on that one. Harsh.
Again, the hints abound. Yeah. All right, so.
She's deep into a show.
There it is. And
Tiger Kings just came back.
Added.
So it's bad.
I've added. I don't know if it actually worked.
Yeah, there we go.
Ooh, there we are.
All right. Always allow. Yeah. Are we friends now?
Here we go.
Apparently. It's Apple official.
So now what do we do?
Touch and hold. There's a new interface since the last time I actually.
Oh, it hasn't said that you've responded.
Check 1 2.
It's not doing anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is not working.
No. Interesting. Yeah, it's funny when my wife and I do it. It's
my case proved.
You actually don't have to let go. Like it streams virtually live.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. But for some reason,
Nobody walkie-talkies.
Okay, well, we'll get you going there too, Tej.
Connection failed. Apple?
Oh,
we gotta have words, man. No bueno. I was so excited about this feature, and it's never really done it.
Auto block.
Also on Twitch right now, paint drying.
Auto blocks, transform, and rollout.
I heard a little delete.
I heard something. Was it your watch?
It was probably mine because it does the little beepy beep. As the,
Oh,
But
it's
did you
allowed.
beat me back? This is great, great radio.
Tristan's not available.
Here we go.
Hey, TJ, test 1 2.
It's me. It's gotta be me.
Hi, Tasia.
She did the thing with the thing.
We're gonna create a wormhole if we're not careful.
All right, so we've concluded then it's either my Apple Watch or me, or possibly my iCloud account, maybe the Russians that are spying on me right now.
Your Apple is making personal decisions.
Yeah, there's a worm in my Apple somewhere.
I think your Moderna microchip is interfering with
Oh,
it.
I just went beep beep.
What's the Bill Gates?
What's going on? Oh, here we go. Let's see. Hello.
Okay, we're back online. That's great. Thank you, everyone, for playing along at home as we went through Gray's tech support issues. This has been our segment. Gray can't work his watch.
Okay, now we'll set up Will.
Fitbit.
Oh.
One of these things is not like the other.
Here, Momentous, we're all about exclusion and shaming. Because homogeneity is our strength.
Exactly.
All right, moving right along. Speaking of glass, Snapchat's new glasses showed one reviewer where AR goes beyond phones.
So they just don't have any actual designers on staff, do they?
No.
Oh, yeah,
It's like somebody looked at Cybertruck and was like, it'd be great if I could wear that on my face.
Looks like an 80s music video.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It looks like have movie style 3D glasses as well. And it's just like, what are they? I mean, cool if you're in Devo. So these are Snapchat's AR spectacles are compact, but they're entirely developer focused and have a very sharp
There's
battery
nothing
life.
compact about that.
No.
Oh,
It's
to
got
be
the
clear,
wingspan of a
these
747.
Oh my god.
And that guy does not have a small head.
Oh my god.
to be clear, these are geared for developers with their, for their
So
You
bad.
don't
development
say.
purposes. But as they get working in their version of the metaverse, which I'm sure will be very easy to connect to Meta's version of the metaverse. But I mean, the point here being is that progress is being made in theory. Companies are still working on this, the whole augmented reality and side of things, as opposed to the virtual reality where you have the full-on headsets. A lot of people, including Apple, believe this is the way that things are going to go. And then Oppo unveiled Air Glass as well, which is their vision for the future of smart glasses, which, again, I mean, just looks like someone took a pair of Google Glass from 10 years ago, chopped it in half, and made one of the temples super chonky. So, half decent review so far. You got a little heads-up display there. Again, this is a space where definitely things are in progress, but I mean, look at that. Does not really seem terribly elegant to me. I mean, it looked like it's making the same mistakes as Google Glass did, where it's just really conspicuous and trying to be cool with like the lightweight frames and all that. But then you got that major chonk on the side, which looks like an old style Bluetooth headset from a hedge fund manager from 15 years ago, right? Like,
everybody was so against Google Glasses. And everybody thought it was so horrendous and terrible, blah, blah, blah. And it's taken 10 years for companies to develop this.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, the problem with Google Glass was numerous. One, putting the camera on the side, they weren't quite ready for that yet. This was a developer product that was brought into the mainstream. Mm-hmm. And also, it was extremely underpowered hardware that wasn't ready for prime time. And they put it in the hands of ordinary users. Quite possibly the worst group that they could have, which were a bunch of like really tech forward, I'm better than you tech nerds. And so, I went to CES and I went to E3 and I saw these things around, and there was a term for them at the time. Do you guys remember the term?
Glass hole.
Glass holes, right? Because people would be talking to you and then you'd see them sort of flick up to the right as they were looking for their display. This wasn't Google's fault per se. I think it was a marketing fail for one. The hardware was definitely a fail. Putting that Tegra in there was not the right chip. It was too slow, too So what Snapchat is doing here, making this a developer-only product, it does stay developer-only. Great. If you see these in the real world, we know we've had an issue. But
this Oppo product is supposed to be consumer oriented too. So it can, in contrast with the Snapchat one. So Snapchat had their Snap Spectacles, and those were trying to be very design forward. And these the ones on the previous screen here are more developer focused, as you mentioned, because I think the Snap Spectacles weren't augmented reality per se. They were more for taking photos and video clips to connect directly into Snapchat. Whereas this is kind of like the next iteration and the next generation of capabilities as well. Hence the chunkiness of the situation there. But
now Snapchat had something problematic about their model, which was distribution, right? The idea of a vending machine that people had to line up. Like, come on.
But I mean, that was for the free. I think for the buzz, right? I think they knew this was going to be a niche product, but let's put the vending machine on Venice Beach and make people line up for it and get some free publicity, sort of thing. Like it's interesting because at that time Snap was rebranding themselves as, but then didn't they say like a camera company basically? It's like, okay. So I mean, this is now we've got these AR developer glasses being the next iteration of that with cameras integrated. So. I mean, these are just a couple of data points for our progress toward AR on our face. So my question to you guys, real quick, is what's it going to take to get this on your face, Will? What's it got to look like? Because we talked about the Ray-Ban ones too, the Facebook Ray-Ban things, which again had limited capabilities, recording and whatnot. What's it got to look like for you to want to have some of those, albeit cool, heads-up features?
I think it's got to look like a regular pair of glasses. I mean, this is the thing is I'm one that doesn't want to look conspicuous. I want to be inconspicuous when I'm wearing it.
Like those headphones?
I like the idea of maybe having some information in my glasses and having a heads-up display. I also don't want to get hit by a truck or anything like that. So
because you're busy reading the New York Times as you cross.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's definitely a lot of things to be learned and figure out. Needs to get a lot smaller. Obviously, if it was a little bit chunkier than a regular pair of glasses, then it's understandable. But I wouldn't want it to be too conspicuous, unlike my headphones, as you pointed out.
So you could do like Karl Lagerfeld level of chunkiness to the glasses, maybe with some tinting there.
Sure.
How about you, Tasia? Would you prefer it if it looked like a pair of bongs on your face?
That's the only way I will wear it. No, like I think cool, like aviator sunglasses or something. But my thing is more like the practicality of it. Like, you guys know how long I fought getting a smartwatch because it just is so distracting, and I can't stand when I'm in conversation with people and they look down at the watch, and it just becomes so second nature. Like, like I'll find myself like I'm watching TV, and the second I feel something vibrate, I do this, even though I don't care. Like, it just becomes this instinctual thing. So I can't imagine that like next level of it where it's right there in my peripheral vision, like all the time. Like, the amount of distraction and unfocused people we're going to have, which we already have that, it's too much for me. It's a hard no.
Notification management is going to have to be even more aggressive at that point. Like, I think there's our phones on computers. We have a certain level of notifications we allow through to our watches. Like, I strip that down to the minimum, and it's still too much. But up on your face, I think it's like just the very, very most urgent things you're coming through on there. Otherwise, it's going to be crazy. Now, Graham, you've got
and movement too.
Yeah. Exactly. Graham, you had a thought, and you also had some VR goggles in your hand to show us.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, basically on notifications, Apple has done something very interesting here, which is focus, which actually it's blanket across all of your devices. So you set focus on any of them, and it stops the notifications from getting through on your watch, on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your new Apple AR glasses. It will do that all the way across. Fascinatingly enough, this is an Oculus Quest 2, or pardon me, it's a Meta Quest 2, because Oculus is now being retired as a name, which is fascinating because Oculus has a higher search trend ranking than VR does. So Facebook, once again, committing accidental Sudoku on a brand with that one. Interestingly enough as well, Oculus as a...
Is it Sudoku or Seppuku?
Sudoku. It's just a whole lot of numbers that really is, they're throwing money down the drain.
Got you. I was just like, themselves for honor.
The interesting thing here is, and one of the reasons why I felt comfortable getting one of these is because they've now backed off the requirement to need a Facebook account with the Oculus. And so when I purchased this last week, I was able to log in with my Oculus account again. I thought that was kind of cool. But this actually does have AR. It's an experimental feature on this guy right here. There are cameras on the front of it. And if you turn the experimental feature on and you double tap on the side, this has pass-through. It is black and white. It is grainy. It does not read screens very well, but you can actually kind of see what's going on around you. So it's very weak AR.
I would pay good money to see walking down the street with that on and to see how good the AR is.
Now, here's the interesting thing. Obviously, this is a self-contained VR headset, unlike my Oculus Rift's dev kit downstairs, or the Valve Index, or any number of other ones. This is self-contained, so you can basically like run all of your stuff on here. I'm having a great time with Beat Saber. Very neat. So cut boxes in half. It's the future. But the one thing I was kind of thinking about when I was working on this earlier this week, because I was in our podcast last week, and I said, somebody had reached out to me, and it looks like we're going to be working together on an AR VR art DJ festival in April. So that'll be kind of cool to cover. But there are some people who've been working on this thing right here, and one of them said, John Carmack said, they haven't really been able to scratch the surface of what they can do with the Quest right now because they've got a small fan on it, and that fan can't actually cool the chip enough for them to do the things they want to do. When we take a look at machines.
And just for context, John Carmack from it's ID Software, id
Software.
Yeah. It's like legendary like game developer, like but Doom and like all sorts of like first person 3D style games, and he was a key developer and proponent of, was it Oculus or was it another platform?
And Oculus, and then when Oculus was acquired by Facebook, stuck around, which means John's been one of those guys who I think has very much been part of like user forward software, has talked about free open source in the past. And so for him to be working with Lucky Palmer and then again with Mr. Zuckerberg seemed counterintuitive, but I think it was also like where the money is, that you can create the thing that you want to create.
Conform to deform.
A fellow named Ruben at Facebook last year said, like, let's not develop the metaverse in such a way that we are promoting other people to do this, but so that we basically take control of this whole thing. He said he was taken out of context, but really, is that on brand? But what I was going to say here really quickly, and just this goes back to AR glasses. If we're looking right now at a mobile processor that has phenomenal thermal envelope control, excellent battery life, better graphics performance than anything else on the market, and something that, inside these things is actually about that much, which if you think about it is probably about the same size as the arms on a set of glasses. Apple's A series and M series processors are already there, and they've got LiDAR built in. All of the technologies right now that everybody else is bolting on and ending up with glasses that seem like they're expanding up past your face. If they don't get into this space, I'd be very surprised. And if they do get into this space, God help anybody else, because all the pieces are here. Everyone else, I think, is almost building a Jenga tower, and I think Apple has built a really firm foundation. So I'm fascinated. So what's it going to take for this thing to be on my face out in public? It's got to be light. It's got to be thin. Battery life's got to be good. And you're right. It can't be intruding on my life. Between focus and the power and the capabilities, I'm looking for somebody that's able to beat basically what I've got in front of me in the way of the MacBook and the functionality of this in a pair of glasses that I'd actually feel comfortable wearing.
I think one of the things that is unspoken or not been a huge part of the conversation to date is the role or potential role of the for Apple's potential AR glasses, which everyone's been talking about for years, and Tim Cook has hinted at for quite a while now, is the role of the iPhone, the AirPods, the processing that each of those can do, and the high-speed communication between said devices. And it may be that whatever Apple decides to put on your face can be as thin and light as humanly possible, especially if you've got AirPods in and an iPhone in your pocket, right? Oh. So you don't end up with this giant unwieldy thing on your face, because you've got smart stuff in your ears and a smart thing in your pocket as well. And that most of those people who are going to be shelling out for potentially, the rumors are $2,500 pair of first gen Apple glasses are probably going to have AirPods and iPhones anyway, right? Until such point as they continue to miniaturize things that all you need is the glasses, so you can go for a run and not have your phone on. Oh, and not to mention the Apple Watch as well. It's like all these. It's like this where we have all these different computing devices on our bodies more and more over time. For years, we talked about convergence, everything going into one device, which the smartphone represented. But now the computing is kind of blowing out and going to the edge again, to our ears, to our wrist, and not just in our pocket anymore. So how all of those things talk to each other, and Apple seems to be doing a pretty good job of that when we can get Apple Watches to talk to each other, at least. I think that's maybe part of their secret sauce, which, these other devices we're looking at tend to be standalone units. All right. Everyone agrees. So
check.
So Oppo is not just doing smart glasses. They had just in the last couple of weeks have released the Oppo Find N, which is our last entry in the foldable phones category. This year we saw the Galaxy Fold 3. We saw the the Galaxy Fold 3 and the Galaxy Flip 3, I believe. And then there was a Microsoft, what was that one called? The Surface Fold or something like that. And all of those are further refinements of their previous iterations. What seems to be setting the Oppo Find N apart is its aspect ratio that people seem to be liking. The hinge seems to be really on point. Great reviews for a first-gen product, but the aspect ratio is a little bit more square than some of the others. With the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3, it's very narrow when you fold it up. This one tends to be a little more traditional smartphone dimensions when you flip it up, and when you fold it out, it is virtually square. And like I said, the reviews of this have been pretty good. You can find all the specs online, of course, and we'll add a link. You got Snapdragon 888 processor, up to 12 gigs of RAM, punch hole front-facing cameras and rear-facing camera, of course, because there's a screen on the other side. But what are your thoughts? And let's start with you, Tasia. Do you see a foldable phone in your future? Whether Apple or perhaps Google, because you funded the Pixel phones that you've seen so far, or would you even just consider flipping to another brand like an Oppo or a Samsung or Microsoft? What are your thoughts on the fold form factor so far?
I want you to make a notation of this date and time and mark my words.
Okay.
Never.
Oh.
Never. The folding, first of all, it's too thick when it's folded up. Okay, they're all too thick. You look ridiculous with that thing trying to shove it in your pocket. And I got some tight ass jeans. Okay, they ain't gonna fit anywhere in there. Second,
that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, when it's folded open, like all these renderings look good and stuff, and that's fine. But like, I have friends that have some of these phones. I always can see like the seam, like where it folds, which would drive me batty. And no offense to this device, but like, why do I want a square device when it's open? What do I want a square for? No video I'm watching is that aspect ratio. No, like, to me, it doesn't make any sense. If I'm going to read something, I'm either reading it on my smartphone or I have an iPad that I'm reading it on, or some other type of tablet. So I just don't understand it. Like, the phone needs to remain a phone. I don't need it to be all things for me. I guess that's where my anger is coming from. It's like, pick a lane, okay?
What if it meant not even having to have a tablet anymore? Because you could, if you wanted to read without, you were much, much younger than some of us here, and your eyes are probably a lot healthier than some of ours. So when you unfold that, and then you can see something like in a tablet style view, that might be a little more comfortable, and then you could save money by not having to buy a tablet at all.
Nope. I'm not here for it.
Because apparently Google might be working on one. Just wait till I can't wait for a YouTube video next fall. When Google has sent you the Pixel Fold.
This is the coolest thing ever.
I'm not a corporate shill, I swear.
How about you, Will? You're living the multi-device lifestyle. You've got the phone, the tablet, the laptop, all the things. What would it take to get you into something that you could like fold in half and stick in your pocket? To be fair, it is a little thick.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan personally, but my wife is keen on this, partly because she loves those old flip phones especially things like the razor, where it was satisfying to hang up on someone, where you just go,
Good
click.
day to you.
Good day to you, sir. Click. So she wants one. I'm fine. I wear big pants. I have a hoodie. I
Are
just
they
get the
iPad
max.
big though?
Yeah, I get the max. I don't
Okay.
need the fold. So
Okay.
and like I said, I mean, you're right. Convergence was a thing, and I remember, 15 years ago thinking, why would I want a camera on my phone? My camera is so much better. But it's nice to have that quick, convenient camera, even if it's not as good. But when I want a tablet type device, I'm mostly at home. So I just have my tablet at home that's bigger. I don't ride the bus, especially in the era of the COVID. So I'm not out and about needing a tablet all that often personally. So maybe for some people, not for me.
All right. Over to you, Gray.
I mean, I can understand the square form factor if you're looking to perhaps emulate a Windows 95 PC. That'd be a nice feature. A lot of folks out there, maybe like 4x3 games from like the late 90s. Be good. Full motion video on Command & Conquer would look great on this. I can see a real opportunity here.
Zack Snyder and IMAX. Hello.
Right. I can see a real opportunity here to license The Gambler as a theme song. Right. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. That's actually the line there. So we're gonna walk away from this one. What's with the name Findin? Like the Find N? What are we finding? We're finding a reason to buy this thing. I love it. It's great. It's in China. Cool. Awesome. Smart move not bringing it over to North America because nobody ain't buying this. So, and that's it. I'm out.
I would like to try one.
I was gonna say, Tristan's being a little quiet over there.
As mentioned, apparently the seam on this one is not quite as visible as some of the competitors. I don't mind the whole seam idea, and actually, in the past, I've gone on record saying that I actually like the approach of Microsoft with their Surface folding devices too. Just don't even try to have a bendable screen. That looks like it might be more durable. Have a decent hinge there. Have two screens. No big whoop. Day to day, how that might look, it could get a little irritating. But like the notch, maybe you just would stop seeing that seam after a while, whether it's a bend in the screen or an actual gap. I'm open to trying it. Again, the size of the pockets for sure is a factor. Also, if one has a purse or a merce, whatever the case,
it's a satchel.
Be, a satchel. That's right.
It's a European carry-all.
then perhaps this device could do the trick. So I'm open. I'd like to.
Okay, so Tristan,
Oppo, if you're listening, which you're not, let's send
listen.
some.
I'm going to send this to them. I'll be like, you know what? We got one guy.
No, if Google makes one, and if they send it to me, I will send it to you. That's my gift to you.
Well,
and then you could play around with it.
I'm so happy.
I do want to say, like, Oppo has been making good hardware. So, you know what? Oppo, if you're out there, we got a guy here, right?
Apparently, this is only about $1,200 compared to the $1,800 Galaxy Z Fold 3. So, but I think, again, it's one of these things like the AR glasses. It's just one iteration after another. And are they going to keep going? I think there's going to be a point where it's going to be go, no go. Are they going to keep trying? These different manufacturers keep giving it a go? Again, like to your point, Graham, earlier about the AR glasses and Apple, in Apple's labs, they're playing with this stuff too, but they're always looking for a go-to-market strategy. And they're not afraid of cannibalizing their own sales if they think it's going to have this sort of trajectory for them and, incremental sales, even preferably. So,
okay, I just thought of a really good name.
Okay.
And I don't even know if I should share it because, guys, we should make this.
Do it.
Okay.
It's okay. No one's listening.
My mother is listening right now. Hey, Mom.
It's the Momentous phablet, phone and tablet.
Hasn't that been done?
A phablet.
Well, I've heard phablet before, though.
We've actually gone so far around the... No, that was the thing. We've gone so far around the horn, it's come back to being...
So, yeah, exactly.
It's like bell-bottoms. It'd be great. Jeans that flared out a little bit more like bell-bottoms. Yes, great. Let's call it that.
It's
right.
Tasia,
10 years ago, Tasia.
You weren't around
Samsung Galaxy Note. Version 1, people joked about it, calling it the phablet.
Yeah.
Which is funny because isn't the Max...
Here's how we make it different. We actually spell it with an F because it's fantastic. It's a fantastic tablet. There you go.
Isn't the
There you
Max
go.
like the same size as the Gen 1 Note or something like that?
Oh, it's bigger. That's the thing. People laughed at the Note, but hand it to Samsung. They stuck with it. They kept iterating, and that's the way things went. And Apple finally caught up with the iPhone 6 Plus, and later large phones after that, and everyone got on board. I remember in that first generation testing some Nokia and like Sony phones, like 6.7-inch screens. Like these things are gigantic, but yeah, that stuck.
Samsung was ahead of
Even
the
with
game,
the
though, right?
skinny
So,
jeans.
like everyone was saying that this thing was straight fire, and it wasn't until 7th that was true. On to the killer robots.
Aw, you're here all night. Tip your waitress. Okay, on to killer robots.
Yes.
So, apparently, slaughterbots are a step away from your neighborhood, and we need a ban. And looking to the UN, who are discussing this very issue. Now, there was a website a couple of years ago called Stop Killer Robots, which I was paying some attention to, and there was quite a bit of talk about 2018. There was even a short film that came out, and we'll show you a little bit of that as well. It's the whole idea of taking drones, whether they are the large war size UAVs that thanks Obama, and down to the micro size drones, modified consumer versions that could be armed with single use ballistics just to dive bomb someone, program the AI in there, get those prices down, release 1 million into New York City, and hilarity ensues, right? All sorts of doomsday scenarios being predicted there. And, give government some time. They think, this looks kind of interesting. How can we deploy some asymmetric warfare? Right? We don't have all the nukes, but we could have other things and create some horrific scenarios. So the UN met this week and was talking about this, but apparently they could not come together on a killer robot ban. So get ready for the autonomous weapons race. Some people are saying this could have been their last chance to regulate this, updating the Geneva Conventions and so on. Gray, is this the beginning of the end for us?
Oh, no. Not by any means. That started long ago.
Are we in the ninth inning of the end? We just haven't been paying attention?
I mean, so here's the fascinating, terrifying thing. When we take a look at autonomous killer robots, the very first of these was actually used in World War I, and that would be a landmine, right? This is a machine that requires no outside source that will kill the person that interacts with it. We have long said that these things are against the spirit of conflict and combat.
The spirit of fair play in war.
That falls under the Geneva Conventions.
Yeah. And then the natural successor to that, for guerrilla warfare came IEDs, right? They just took the template of landmines and how can we make them with like off-the-shelf products.
Which I mean, really just gets down to the very nature of accepting the fact that we are going to kill each other to achieve our goals. The fact that there's humane warfare is just such a wonderful contradiction in terms. Right now, when you take a look at this, we're talking about physical autonomous weaponry. We already have this in software, right? Like we've already seen with Stuxnet and a bunch of other things. We have autonomous things that are designed to hurt, kill, damage. And so like I said, this started long ago. What we really have right now is just the most, I think, visceral and terrifying implementation of this, which is, not coming with an Austrian accent and shaped like Mr. Universe, but still has the same sort of effect. And so looking at this, the fact that there's even a debate really comes down to just, again, the idea of an arms race. There are folks out there who think that they might have an edge in this, and so therefore weakening their own position is not a good thing that they want to do. The question really comes down to two questions here, right? Which is, what happens if somebody makes one of these things and that thing itself is unkillable? That's terrifying because, these people have now won the arms race and there would be no stopping them outside of their own desire for power, perhaps being slaked. The second one is, what if somebody makes one of these things that's unkillable and it gets out of their control? And I think that's probably the biggest sci-fi fear, right? We're all looking to Skynet and Judgment Day, and when's the singularity going to happen? Are machines going to decide that, to save the human race, we have to kill the human? Like we've talked about all of these things in science fiction for years. And when you take a look at all of the capabilities of these machines, they could be tasked to do things that would help build up humanity as opposed to tear down humanity. And instead, the worst among us, those who typically have the money and the power, have decided that we're going to chop it down. The last piece of the puzzle here is really just looking at autonomous workforces in general, and then realizing that the vast majority of the human race has been kept around because we were useful. We can do things, and we can make things, and we can serve people who have money and power. We're getting to a point where that type of population is not required anymore. And how do you end up taking care of that kind of population? This is one of the ways. So this more than anything right now, I think is probably one of the most terrifying things ahead of us. Should we all be scared? A little bit. There's lots of other things on our immediate radar. Omicron, which honestly, if you had to call the killer robot Omicron, I would be like, right on brand, well done. But I think the fact that they're not taking this nearly seriously enough, the fact that people couldn't actually have a conversation about this, is probably one of the most frustrating things. And these folks here making these decisions will be the first up against the wall when the revolution comes.
Now, if only we could find a way to capture some of those slaughterbots, as some people refer to them, or killer robots, drones with ballistics, we could get them on our side and use them to deliver Amazon packages. I mean, they're like the Werner von Braun's of the world, right? Get them working for the right side.
Well, what was the thing that wasn't there some Iranian nuclear scientist that was killed by some robot? Do you remember this? He was driving along and a robot came along and murdered him in Iran. You don't remember this?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So
it may have been some sort of drones.
Was it a drone?
It's probably
like
a
rolling robot or something like that.
Which just combines, like, again, the idea of an IED with a kind of with an RC car. That's a killer robot.
Yeah.
Right. A DJI drone with some fertilizer attached to it could be a killer robot. And when you start to think about it, like, anybody could actually make one of these things. It doesn't have to be particularly smart if it accomplishes the goal. We've also seen ways to try to defeat these things. The U.S. Army's been looking at things like net guns.
Yeah.
They also can scramble GPS. There's a bunch of different things. I mean, I got a shotgun downstairs. Drone comes after my family, I'm going to take it out. Yeah.
And joking aside, I actually just heard, I wish I had made a note of it. There's a number of companies working on targeted EMP weapons that you could aim at some of these things to take them out. That's also being considered for ICBMs as well. And the testing is going well so far. So it's just, again, it's another type of nightmarish arms race.
Yeah.
Tasia, does this kind of thing keep you awake at night?
Well, now it will. I thought I had enough to worry about.
Mission accomplished.
Lord help me. This is like terrifying. Now I'm going to have dreams of robots attacking me.
Well, I think one of the things here that differentiates between past iterations of drone warfare, whether it's large scale or small scale, and small scale drones have been used for surveillance as well. Some people believe birds aren't real, for example. That these type of weapons that we're talking about are autonomous, so they do not require a human pilot to operate, which is a whole different set of issues there, because you've got the AI component to them, and just give them instructions, do some pattern matching, find these kind of targets and go to town. And that's where it becomes especially concerning to say the least.
Well, when you take a look at it, like we saw drone operators coming out of the war the last 20 years in Afghanistan who have extreme PTSD because they were trying to make decisions based on, low fidelity, black and white grainy footage, and sometimes making the wrong call on people. The wrong people got hurt. You leave this to a dispassionate AI, maybe those people who did sort of stay their trigger finger, perhaps for better or for worse, might not. And, I think about how well Siri understands me. I don't think there's a time. I don't think there's a time in the next 20 years where I'd be willing to trust AI to make this kind of decision.
So what you're saying, though, by taking the operators out of it, it's almost like a humanitarian thing, because now we're going to have fewer remote pilots with PTSD.
Yeah, just, Veterans Affairs, you're welcome. I'm sorry that we've entered the human race.
All right. So just keep an eye on Ukraine. Apparently there's some drones being deployed there. And, we've got how many, is it 100, 150,000 Russian troops there too? We may have a fun little Christmas surprise. Orthodox Christmas is a little later. That's in January. So maybe somewhere between.
That got dark real quick.
Real quick. Shall we move on to happier themes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, by the way, if you're interested in this topic, visit stopkillerrobots.org. It's been going for a few years, and it's a number of concerned scientists who are pooling their resources to educate people about the issue. And of course, you can write your member of parliament, and they'll be like, what? Exactly. How about taking AI out of the sky and helping you enhance your crappy photos and turning them into monstrosities?
Yes,
for example. How about you take this famous photo of Mark Zuckerberg in which he had his microphone and webcam covered up with tape, and then zoom in a little, let's see what the AI did to improve the photo. And it doesn't look anything like Mark Zuckerberg anymore. So that's good times. So this is a yet another AI project using GFP GAN, and you can go and try this out. We'll have the link in the show notes. So I ran a few photos through this. This is an old fuzzy low-res photo of me, and I ran it through, and it messed up my teeth.
Where are your glasses?
You just had your wisdom teeth in.
The glasses are kind of gone. It's good. I got LASIK in the process. My eyes got a little darker.
Yeah, like they've just had your wisdom teeth out. That's
yeah, exactly.
Was that from the first company we worked at?
Yeah, that was from Chalk. Here's another one. This one's a little subtler. It's just smoothing things out a little bit. That's hey, y'all don't need Botox. You just need AI.
Yeah.
Here's here's the color version. Color photos and black and white photos get processed a little differently for some.
Whoa!
I went full Navi. Here we go.
Oh dear.
Got some avatar action here. Or the blood drained out of my face when I started thinking too much about slaughterbots. Let's try some other photos here. Let's see.
He's dreamy.
Oh, just
whoa! Look at that. It's like a filter on you.
Oh, there's the original.
Oh, wow.
But by freckles.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
We got a little gray. Let's see if these other ones worked. Okay,
no.
so these are all from the MOMENTOUS website.
It's already pretty close up, like my face.
Ooh.
Oh,
full.
damn, girl.
You've gone full Uncanny Valley there.
I got like the J-Lo treatment on that. Okay.
Right? You got some contouring.
That looks like an avatar. Yeah. You look like you're in the metaverse there.
Yeah.
All right, now on to Will.
I'm looking towards the future.
Wow,
again, nice
look at us.
Yeah. So when you've got a reasonably decent photo to start with, the effect is more subtle. But it's when you get into like the really low res stuff that it's a crapshoot on what you're going to end up with. But
I'm wondering if there's like a cooler, like real world application for this. Like
zoom, enhance.
Yeah.
Yes, like in like police work or things like this, or like when you're looking at really crappy, grainy security footage of something, and if it theoretically could work better.
That's exactly right. And when you've got these competing AIs, and sometimes competing against each other in a generative adversarial network, that you get a bunch of different results. And again, this will be a link in the show notes for those who are merely listening. But these different algorithms taking on the original source, and we can see a variety of results, some of them quite different. And then the last one on the far right, actually doing a pretty decent job. The second one down, we've got an older. So the top one was a young girl. The second one was an older woman. One of the results made her look like a creepy uncle, and then the last one again, pretty decent. Same. In the last one, we got a fuzzy photo of a man with glasses and a mustache. One gave him a sunburn. One removed his glasses and mustache for some reason.
Wow.
And then the last one with the latest algorithm here did a pretty decent job with a pretty rough source photo there. And then they did some other examples with the Xi Jinping, leader of China. Some other rough stuff here. Dustin, I don't know who, Dustin Deceiver. I mean, again, the blurrier or the fuzzier the source, the more, I guess not random, but the more potentially further afield the results might end up being. Right?
It's so creepy.
Maybe this is it. Maybe this is actually an adversarial network for identifying people who aren't quite human.
Right.
There you go. So that's a little thing you can have some fun with over the holidays, right? And bringing us to one of our entertainment stories this week, Spider-Man No Way Home, by the numbers. So we have an article linked here, 9 milestones from its box office debut. So in the US over the weekend, Spider-Man grossed $260 million, which I believe is the number 2 opening weekend for any movie ever, and did about double that. So it's second only to Avengers Endgame, which was $357 million. So this is not, Disney/Marvel, it's Sony/Marvel. So pretty good, pretty strong for a Sony Spider-Man release, and about double that worldwide, $500+ million again for opening weekend. Now, 3 of the 4 of us here have seen it, and I think we all agree that pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think No Way Home is to Spider-Man what Endgame is to Avengers. Like, how they pulled so many threads together. Pretty satisfying.
Mm-hmm. It's a good way of putting it.
It's called unconscious competence. Yeah. So, Tasia, not to raise any expectations, but it's the best movie ever.
I want to see it, but I'm not going to a theater right now.
Oh,
don't know what to tell you.
Not now.
I rocked up with I've got a Cambridge mask here. That's an N95, and so that was strapped to my face pretty much the entire time.
But so did those around you. That's the difference.
Well, and so I mean, but I actually managed to select a really great seat because I opted for the D box, paid an extra $6 for the seat, and went at the late show on a Monday, and I had a D box around me, so it was nice. It was good. No one could see me cry, which happened twice.
Yes, me as well.
So highly recommended. If you haven't seen all the previous Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies and
Andrew Garfield. Not that you really need to see those. They're just good to have for context.
Yeah, they're good. But that's what I'm getting at, is the context there. If you haven't seen them all, it's good to have those to fill in blanks, because there may be scenes in this movie where you're like, oh, that makes sense because of this thing that may or may not have happened in the past. Not
Who is this Dr. Octopus that I saw in this?
Yeah, exactly. And the trailer showed us a fair bit of what might be happening there, so no spoilers. But there's some emotional moments that kind of hit. It's like, oh, and if you had not seen one or more of the other movies, they might not make as much sense. So that's what my only advice is, that fill in the gaps. We should have gone and rewatched all the movies. But enough of it was still kind of fresh in there, and especially if you're a fan of the comic books, Will, yes, you probably picked up on even more than we did there. But what was your take as a longtime comic book fan? Again, with no spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm getting right into the weeds about being a comic book person, I think this is really more about the MCU, and it ties a lot of the threads together. The MCU, it definitely piggybacks on things like the Spider-Verse comics, where there's multi-dimensional characters that come through. I'm still waiting for more of an expanded universe when it comes to that. The animated Spider-Man that came out into the Spider-Verse was probably one of the best Marvel Spider-Man movies, period. And maybe was a more complete version, but I still thought this was really great. I really felt like the first Avengers, like everything was kind of coming together. Like there was there's sort of a meeting of a bunch of things, and that I'd been waiting for, and I actually got teary-eyed a third time just when things started happening, and when we started seeing, characters and stuff like that. So I mean, I loved it. It's really awesome that they're able to do something new and different and still play off the comic books, and take advantage of things that they've done 10, 15 years ago. I think it's really a creative tour de force that they were able to put this together and connect the dots and tie in with the comic books at the same time.
And Tasia, when you do eventually see it, again, I implore you, the sooner the better. Find some way before it gets spoiled for you. But 2 after credits. It's one mid-credit scene and 1 after credit scene.
Okay.
Which scene definitely worth seeing. And a lot of that stuff, some of that stuff also makes more sense having seen things like Marvel's What If, maybe even WandaVision. Actually, Hawkeye. There's a few.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot there was a couple of things in Spider-Man itself too. So it's neat. We're really seeing this the Sony Spider-Verse and the MCU like as they continue to collaborate, which is thank goodness, because there was a threat a few years ago that things were falling apart there. And again, all hail Kevin Feige for helping.
There's some more discussion about that, by the way. I don't know if you're up to date on some of the stuff.
Don't want to hear it. Don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm basking in the web of the end of this film. So let's just leave me happy for a moment. Right. That was actually my big takeaway was just stick it out till the very end of the credits. I will say Benedict Cumberbatch.
It's awesome.
Wow.
Also, if you haven't, not a bad idea to see the Venom movies.
Maybe 2 hours before you go.
So I'm actually gonna $6.99. I'm gonna go rounds up.
I peer pressured Will into seeing the second Venom movie before we went and saw the latest Spider-Man in the theater.
So
worth it, Will?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was funny because it was all current because it just happened. And this isn't the first time you've peer pressured me into doing something like this. I went and watched 2 Harry Potter movies before I went and saw the last Harry Potter movie. Basically watched 6 hours of Harry
in Marvel before Captain America.
Yeah. Oh, that too. Yeah.
I think I told you I hadn't watched Spider-Man Far From Home. So I watched it yesterday, right before I went to the movie theater. I'm glad I waited because that would have been hard to live with for that amount of time.
Tasia, what's it going to take to get you into a theater? I mean, Graham's got all sorts of advice for you with the D box. Just be careful, drop a D with the box because the vibrations.
Or be a D box.
I don't know.
Too. Is it streaming? Are you going to wait for streaming to because I'm not sure.
Yeah,
we might be getting to the end of. There's another story talking about how Matrix Resurrections may be the last of the blockbuster day and date movies for a while. I mean, pending Omicron, we'll see it over the next couple of months, but we're kind of, as we get through the holiday season, there's not a lot of blockbusters until like May, right? So, and so like HBO Max and some of the other streaming providers are like, okay, we want to maximize our box office. So I'm not sure how long Spider-Man's going to be theater only, and then until it gets to the other windows, including on-demand streaming. So, sorry, and please go on with your answer. My question is finally over.
I mean, what if we just I could just rent out a theater?
Ooh. Oh, they were doing that a year ago.
I know.
Still is doable.
Yeah.
No, I feel like kind of what Gray said. Like I'd have to figure out a time for us to go. Like I can't rent out a theater. That's the thing.
We're at half capacity here now.
See, we're full bore, open up, and I am the only one around that wears a mask. So it's
but you're tripled now, right? You've got your 2 and you're boosted. Like there has to be a point.
So like I should just go
lives,
make out with somebody.
Yeah.
No, just share popcorn.
No, it's true. I am living my life. Like we're traveling, we're doing things. I'm not like totally living in fear, but I have just gotten very used to like being comfortable at home and like watching a movie on my 4K TV and being completely content with it. And I'm cozy in my pajamas and you know what I mean? Like I don't have to go anywhere. So I don't know.
Don't get me wrong. If I could have paid $35 for this to watch it at home, heartbeat, done.
Yeah.
I'm post theater.
I was hoping
I'll go if y'all are going, but
streaming, but
all right. In other blockbuster-ish news, we didn't get to this last week, but Will, what is Star Wars Eclipse?
Well, this trailer dropped, I guess, a couple weeks ago. It's just a very slick, as a lot of these video game trailers are. It's brought to you by the minds behind things like Heavy Rain, Quantic Realms, which are known for their sort of deep, intricate storytelling. It's very interesting that they're going to apply this to the Star Wars universe. The trailer was, again, very flashy and, not necessarily in-game footage, but gives you a taste about what's to come and teases some things. So I'm hooked. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely a very cinematic trailer. And what were you guys' thoughts?
This takes place in the High Republic era. right? Which they just started releasing a series of novels. I've got the first one downstairs. I haven't even started reading it. But it's sort of a new space for them to explore, which I think is far enough back that it doesn't really affect modern canon. It's different enough that it's rich and there's lots of things going on, and the universe feels well fleshed out. But can have sort of a prettier aesthetic, I think, than Star Wars and post original trilogy does, just because again of the grittiness that the Imperials brought. So really cool release like stuff. I still have no idea what the gameplay is. Yeah. So if it is like Heavy Rain and a few others, Quantic Dream really did a good job of having sort of this immersive experience as far as the content, but the interactivity tended to be like QuickTime reaction stuff.
Yeah.
And so
I'm hoping bad as Dragon Slayer, but in the same.
Now they had a new one that I have not played yet. It's a couple of years old, but apparently it's Almost Human, I think, something like that. Yeah. So I should probably shut my mouth and go play that.
So just for the more casual Star Wars fans among us, where is High Republic? How many hundreds of years or thousands of years ago is it? I mean, we got Old Republic, High Republic. Can you position that for
I think it's 1,000 years before? Let's see.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The other thing is, this isn't, as Gray said, there's a series of books, but they're also talking about, isn't there a TV show that they're going to be doing on Disney Plus that's going to be in the High Republic? So this is definitely something they've gone to before in games, and they're going back in games and TV show.
I think Tasia and I are going to need to collaborate on some getting up to speed on the expanded Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Tasia, we have one last exciting contribution this week, and it has to do with a certain little operating system from a certain little fruit type of vendor. Is that what's the deal? What's your latest video?
That is correct, and that's all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's whether or not you should update to iOS 15.2, and then I go over all the new features of iOS 15.2, which I won't give too much away now. But one of my favorites is the legacy contact. So just like you can on Facebook and other platforms, you can now assign a legacy contact for your data. And it's morbid, but necessary. Because when we go, what happens to all our, stuff, and people have to be able to access it. So it's pretty important. So I walk people through how to do that, and then the other good features too.
Apparently, I've heard that the notification message that is received by the person you assign as legacy contact, if they don't know they're getting it, it is a little jarring, because the words they use are pretty on point. And it didn't, I can't remember exactly the words they used, but basically saying, yeah, FYI, you are my legacy contact and will have access to my Apple information, upon presentation of death certificate, et cetera, blah, 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 when I am no longer around. Something to that effect.
I want to customize that.
Yeah. It didn't say when I am dead, or when but it was, and apparently it's oh boy, that's some strong coffee right there.
Yeah. You should definitely preface any of it by talking to the person you're going to assign as the contact.
Yeah.
When I peace out,
say, hey,
you're gonna text from Apple.
Because if somebody just gets that, especially during COVID times, it could cause some panic.
It is kind of a weird phenomena, though. I know some phantom accounts or ghost accounts of people who have unfortunately passed along, and they have LinkedIn accounts or Facebook accounts and stuff like that. So it's certainly a problem. I know there's ways of getting access to some of those things, but
and normally it's a big pain in the butt. So something like Facebook, where it's super streamlined, this is the same idea, so that normally you're not dealing with these tech companies going, I swear this person's dead, I swear I'm this relative of this person, because you have to prove who you are too, not just at the and why the heck should you get access? And it's a friggin' nightmare. So it's just kind of easier this way.
It's surprising that it's taken this long, quite
Mhm.
frankly. um,
Mhm.
it reminded me of there was a little documentary that I was a part of a few years ago called "Death in the Cloud." It was actually look,
Oh wow.
that was produced by a mutual friend of ours, Melinda, who's a director, and she did this for TELUS and interviewed a number of people talking about some of these very issues, like the plans you should make to handle all your digital identity and information, whatnot, for when you do pass on. So we'll include that in the show notes too for anyone that's interested. Go and watch Tasia's video first, and then get freaked out about the legacy content stuff, and then go and watch Death in the Cloud, and it'll help round out the picture a little bit for you there.
Wow,
But
this
how
has
many?
been a ray of sunshine this whole live stream today. Killer slaughterbots and Death in the Cloud and
The most wonderful time of the year, Will.
yeah.
All
Very
right.
depressing stuff.
But
Thanks, guys.
look, every ending is really a new beginning. We've learned that from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, haven't we? Just to bring it all home there. So, Will, Tasia, Gray, thank you once again. We may have some sort of interesting holiday special a week from today. We'll see who makes it. Maybe some surprise guests. I hope that all of you have a wonderful Christmas time. And to those watching at home, we hope your holiday season is what? Truly what?
Momentous.
Merry Christmas.